Welcome to Mams Talk. We're Mams Talk Survivor. I am Kay, and with me is my lovely wife, Jessica. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing well. I'm very excited to talk about this episode. I feel like the game is really heating up.
Yeah, I feel the game has begun now in
The
episode
game is
8.
afoot.
In
The
episode
game is
8.
afoot in episode 8. Okay.
We're getting some exciting things. Yeah, so we will just jump into it. So the episode starts and CJ is kind of reflecting on what happened at tribal council. He's talking about how he didn't want you to go, Jess.
I
How does
know,
how does it make you feel?
it makes me feel happy that he didn't want me to go, but I'm like, you had the power.
Yeah.
You could have done something about it,
You
but
foolish man.
I won't fault him too much. It
Yeah.
was it was a tough round. But it does make me sad hearing him say that he wanted me to stay so badly because like there just were so many avenues I had to stay that were not used. But
Yeah.
yeah.
On your part and his, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
definitely.
both kind of
Definitely on my
messed
part
up.
too. We both
Yeah.
dropped the ball.
Yeah. And he's also talking about like the yin yang idol. And it doesn't seem like he has a lot of like critical thought happening to why um like he agreed to use it. He just kind of like, well, like great, Dylan's safe.
Right, right. I thought that was funny too because he like didn't seem like he wanted to use it, but he's like, great, I'm so glad we used it. And then even in the episode that we just filmed with him, he was saying like, no, I didn't really want to use it, but it just sort of seemed like it was like my only option. Like he didn't really think
Right.
that Dylan needed to use it because
Right.
he obviously didn't need to use it. But like he kind of thought that like if Dylan goes up there with it, he's obligated to go up there with him and use
Mhm.
it the other half. But yeah, no, I thought it was funny. Like he's like they totally wasted their yin yang idol and like he Dylan didn't get a single vote and yet he's like
He's like,
so glad Dylan's
cool, so
safe.
we use that. Like not an ounce of regret, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing's going on up there.
I
Um
guess it was like he's happy that they did
they
something. I
did
don't know.
something, they did something. Um Nothing of merit, but something happened.
There
Um,
a move was made.
yeah. I also think it's funny because then, like, right after that, Ali's like, "Oh, this is such a good move on CJ's part because
Mm-hmm.
he knew that he had to flush Dylan's idol, and like, so he agreed to use it, even though he knew he didn't need to use it." And I'm like, Al, you're really like you're reaching here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And
I
it's
do think that's funny because like he also there's no flushing a yin yang idol if you're the holder of the other half and like
too true.
because you just don't use it and then it's never valuable. So
Right. Right.
but that's
We're thinking
funny.
about like Ty and Korong. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what a moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
For those who are unaware, when this style idol was in play in the real show, the flagship show, just to be clear, because our show is still real.
The CBS
The
version.
CBS version, um, Ty had half of the Yin Yang idol, and these other boys had the other, and they were like, "All right, Ty, time to use it," like at tribal council, and Ty just was like, "No," and then they went home. It was epic. It was really incredible television, really.
Gotta love Ty. Gotta love Ty. I do
Gotta
have
love.
to say I was not forgot that that moment had happened until like multiple people brought it up in the preseason season 46 interviews. I guess it stuck with people that
Yeah,
moment.
I mean it did with me. I mean it's stuck with Sia too.
Totally.
That I
Famously
mean,
stuck with Sia.
yeah, because Ty is the person who made Sia say I need to be a part of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the hospitality. I don't
I
know.
do think it was mostly the chickens, but
I think it
you
was the
know,
chickens.
I like to think that Sia really appreciated that as well. Well, I think it was like he was standing up for himself and like the
Hmm.
underdog. So it
Right.
also
And like
contributes to his
yeah, and I don't want to like slander these men too much because I don't really know them personally, but on the show they were kind of like the villains of the season. Like they're kind
mm-hmm,
of were they were giving kind of anti-woman a little bit.
mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah,
is why it
like
was like
bully
kind of
energy.
yeah. So the fact that like he would like stood up against adversity, that was like a big moment.
Yeah,
But
and people felt like they could walk all over him. Anyway, we're talking too much about
yeah,
this.
too much about the stupid other version of the show, because this is not about that. Let's just be clear.
Mhm.
This is about the wonderful cast of Survivor Manhattan.
Yes.
But yeah, what's going on next? Right, so
Yeah.
CJ is talking about getting Olivia out next
Hmm.
because there's an assumption that she does not have immunity anymore,
Yes.
which is incorrect because Girlie
Little
too.
little did they know that scone in her pocket.
Uh, the scone.
It's working.
And we don't get a confessional about the scone, or like everyone would be like, "Oh, don't worry, that's just a scone." But we do need to keep it in mind.
We need to keep in mind that if anyone is suspicious, the scone is there
It's
to
yeah.
divert them.
Don't worry, guys. It's just my scone. God, what are we even
Um,
doing?
yeah.
But yeah. So we get some interesting pre-challenge talk happening about like what's gonna happen moving forward. Like Gabby's really thinking a couple steps ahead. She's like, well, after
Hmm.
this vote, we'll do Allie. That's what she says.
Hmm.
But CJ's kind of like, we need to get Olivia out. She's like too comfortable.
Yeah.
She's got to go.
Yeah. I think CJ's right for wanting Olivia to go, but I do think he has tunnel vision a little bit here.
Yeah.
Like sometimes your tunnel vision's right and like the person that you're stuck on does need to go, but sometimes you need to be flexible. You have to keep your eyes open,
Yeah.
as Taylor Swift would say.
Oh, yes. You know what's funny is I was gonna say got to keep my eyes on the prize, but that is from a song that I sung in elementary school called "I'm Young and
Yeah.
I'm Positive."
I was gonna say I don't think anyone knows that song.
Yeah, this is an
So
inside joke. Should
but
I
let's
do
all
the
keep our eye
song?
out for Selena. No, please don't sing the song.
Yep, I'm young and I'm positive. I am the future. I'm gonna tell it like it is. I won't let anything stand in my way. My eyes are on the prize. I'm gonna stay that way. Yeah. I did have
I do.
I had a rap solo. Important to note. I will not be doing that rap, but I do remember
Yeah.
it verbatim.
I would like to say I also know this song by
Because
heart
I
now.
do perform it often.
Anyway, let's keep our eye on the
Let's
prize.
keep our eyes on the
As
prize.
CJ should be doing with people who maybe are not Olivia.
Right.
Because as much as we know, Olivia wins immunity. And I feel like he's not really prepared for that possibility. Like, I know a couple people say, like, well, we got to wait and see how it shakes out after the challenge before we can really decide. But I feel like he is kind of counting her out of this immunity win before it even happens. Like, there's not really a super strong backup plan happening. But
Yeah, no,
yeah, he just
definitely
keeps
not.
bringing up Olivia.
But Olivia goes in to the challenge and she has
Mhm.
her eyes on the prize. The prize being what is later referred to as a boho chic immunity necklace.
Mhm. I would say
It,
it's boho chic.
that's fair. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what I looked up. Okay, so I got it on Shein, Sumi. But it was really cheap. And I think I did end up looking up some sort of like boho or I looked up like wooden boho necklace or something like that. And it was like $2 or something like that.
Yeah. So you did type in boho.
I think I did.
Yeah.
Well, listen, because you can't just type in like survivor necklace. Like,
Yeah.
so
I
you
would
have to give
say
it a certain vibe.
Survivor has yeah, I mean, if we're not going to use the word tribal as an
Yeah,
aesthetic,
I can't put that in.
that's probably the only way I could like ancient civilization chic. I don't know, like something like that, but
Boho felt the most.
archaeology.
Oh, wow. I'm curious if I typed archaeology necklace, what would come up?
I don't know, not that probably.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, enough about my Shein search. So
Yeah,
we
wait, sorry. Before we get into the challenge,
yeah.
I just had a few more notes that I think it's interesting that Gabby is like thinks Dylan should go next. And that she feels like she can stay safe with CJ because everyone else seems to be counting out the possibility of this like couple happening, which I think is interesting. I don't know that they're necessarily working together super closely, but they seem to have an inherent trust with one another, which I just think is interesting to point out. Because no one's really clocking that at this moment.
Yeah, and they're like very clearly like looking, like talking to each other and like in a game sense. Like I don't think they're really hiding that they're working together at all, but they no one's
Right.
really seeing it like that.
Yeah. I think that like I think it comes up after the challenge more so, but they are also start talking about like, oh, I'm not worried about Gabby and CJ. And like people are talking about the other two, like CJ to Gabby, Gabby to CJ, and not really worried
Yeah.
about the implications of that at all. Yeah.
How do you spell
So
archaeology? This is really interesting.
Archae or EA
Oh, I don't know.
Logy. Is this a spelling test?
No, I'm trying to type it into Shein. I just want to know. Oh, geez. I think we're way off. That's archaeology.
but but that's how you spell it. It has a CH. ARCH. Didn't you go to archaeology camp?
I
Get it
did.
together.
Okay, no EA. No EA.
Oh, okay.
Necklace. Okay.
Archaeology.
Okay. All right. Let's see what comes up. I'll share me screen. All right, this is what we get when we type in archaeology necklace. Now,
Oh, so we're a little bit more like ancient
okay, I
castle
spelled
vibes.
archaeology right, but not necklace.
Important to note.
Important to know.
Oh, and then we've got some like
I
Twitches necklaces
love this
happening.
oval pendant necklace.
Okay, next season. look out for it.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Okay, you're getting some like the shark tooth and these little gems
Yeah,
on
that wasn't feeling like
macrame.
epic enough for like
Yeah,
an immunity necklace.
I agree.
Um,
I agree with you.
but I love the pendant. Maybe you're onto something with the archaeology.
Yeah, we got some like Greek mythology stuff happening.
Yeah.
These
But
like
what
stones and
about this
stuff.
minimalist, delicate choker?
Well, that's certainly giving the vibe that we all need in our immunity
The
necklaces.
next necklace.
Imagine you're
It's
like
just a little choker. Like
Jeff puts on like a little choker.
I love the vibes. Yeah, so we have some options.
Yeah. Well, so here's like I just watched the new Indiana Jones movie. And I think that
Dial of
Survivor has a
Destiny.
lot, yes. And I think Survivor has a lot of archaeology-esque vibes, especially now that they've tried to move a little bit further away from the tribalism
Yeah.
aesthetic. But yeah, keep it in mind
Yeah,
going forward.
And we will. So sorry
Anyway,
to derail so
I
much,
do
but
also think
I do agree with you about
Mhm.
the fact that no one is like, what's going on with Gabby and CJ?
Right. Yeah, I think later Allie literally is like, I don't think they're working together, which, she clearly didn't have a great read on the game. But
Well.
anyway, I also
Well,
I also think it's interesting that Dylan is the only person thus far who's even said Caroline's name to like,
yeah.
let's talk about it. Because no one's really taken him too seriously with that one, but
it's funny because like he's like, yeah, she's flying so under the radar, like no one's really talking about her, and Allie's like, you're so right, and then votes for Dylan,
and then nothing happens with it. Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I guess, and you know what? I really believed Allie when she said that
Me
she
too.
started looking at Caroline, but like,
even when we rewatch, like obviously I know, like I've seen this season, and even when I was watching it because of her reaction, I was like, oh, I guess she votes for Caroline,
right?
But no,
Yeah, because Caroline does get the one vote from I think Dylan. But yeah, I'm really surprised that Allie doesn't like open her eyes up to that more.
That's another
like,
tunnel vision, I think.
Totally. And also I do know Caroline is very good at speaking. So it's like, and Caroline's also really bad at filming. So it's possible there were more conversations with
Right.
Caroline that maybe dissuade her of that idea. Like she felt really good with her.
Yeah,
But
the
I
only
just want
really
to,
like insight from her we get at all is like when they're talking about Allie and she's like master manipulator and she like says it kind of like cutesy or whatever where it's like,
mm,
oh, Caroline, like
yeah.
we
Oh,
don't take
silly
her too
Caroline.
seriously.
She's just hanging out.
But she sprinkles in the little truths.
Yep. You got to keep your eye out for her.
Yeah. But let's talk about the challenge just a little bit before we
Yeah.
get too into the
Yes.
So first of all, what do we think about this challenge? It's the memory challenge with the little pictures, and you have to like memorize the numbers associated with the pictures and put it on your sheet.
And also run. Important to note that you also have to
It
run.
was very minimal running. It was like jog to the table,
Yeah.
jog back
Yeah.
to the tree.
I will say I was very in the moment and also rewatching. I was very upset I couldn't participate in this one because I was really waiting for a memory challenge because that was something I was excited to try. And I did feel like a teacher standing there being like, here's your paper. Here's your paper. But
Yeah.
I like this challenge. I like this challenge. I thought it was a good one. I even said it while we were watching. I said, I think this is a good challenge. So yeah.
I do really like this challenge. I think it could have been filmed better.
Oh, certainly. You could say that about the entire
you could say it about the
season.
whole thing, right? But yeah, I mean we worked with what we got, but
I didn't think it was egregious, to be honest, like considering how much movement was happening.
that's fair.
I guess you're in production
I can't
mind.
remember
Like,
who told me, but someone when they watched this was like, what's happening in the challenge? And I was like, that's fair. Like they
yeah,
truly
I
like
think that's
had
all.
no conceptual idea of like what the point of it was, like what the
You did
object was.
explain it.
I did. I mean, people weren't listening, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's not like, but I also like kind of tuned out the explanation because I knew how the challenge worked, so
Mhm.
it's possible.
But yeah, I also like put in a couple of tricks. So it was like there were like multiple birds, like multiple
Yes.
kinds of fish, like things like that. So which I think like Gabby's the first one to tell me like check the paper. And I think that's where she got caught up. Like she switched the numbers of like two of the birds or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually did. I remember I did this challenge afterwards. Like I gave me the paper and I like ran across our apartment and like to
You
see
know what's
how I
so
would
funny?
do.
Because my memory's so bad, like don't remember that at all.
You don't remember? I didn't do as I did okay. I don't think I would have beat Olivia,
It's
but
hard because in your brain, like you want to just be like bird 3, fish
yeah,
2, like spear 5 or whatever.
yeah,
But it's a lot more complicated than that.
yeah. That's like the obvious like method to it, but yeah,
And
I think men.
you also can't just memorize the positions because they were all like swapped around.
Yeah, did multiple people check and get it wrong?
It was just Gabby, and then
Just
Olivia
Gabby
was very soon after, and then she was
soon
right.
after.
She got
Yeah,
it
because I
really
remember.
quick.
I remember Gabby check. It was quick. I remember Gabby checking because I was holding Gabby's paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember. And I remember having to like have her go back and do it. But yeah, no, good challenge. Good on Olivia getting her
Right.
immunity in. This is her first immunity, right?
This is her first immunity win.
Yeah.
Very fun.
And I think that it's clear that she needed it. A little bit here.
I mean, definitely. I don't know if she knew that she needed it, but
I don't think she knew she needed it at all.
well, yeah, her reflection afterwards is just kind of like, I mean, she's thinking about safety the whole time. Like, I think her goal every single round is just like, how can I be safe?
Safe. Yes, I agree.
So anytime she like has the idol, she's like, I'm playing it.
Yes.
I think that's her.
I
like,
also noted that like she kind of was assuming / hoping that there would be in combination with her 2 idols up until the final, because what you can play till 5, up until 5 she would be safe.
Yeah,
like,
and she says that she's like, oh well, I knew that I had 2 idols, so what did we start with? 9 people in jury. So
I honestly don't know. Yeah.
But
yeah, so if
but she's like, I'm gonna be safe for 2 of them, and like if I can like win immunity, then like that like helps my chances. Like she's thinking very like mathematical about it.
Yeah.
And you can only play it up to 5.
Right. So
that keeps her safe at 3 of I think what 4. tribal councils because you can only play it up to 5.
Yeah, which makes sense why she makes it adds more context about why she played at the round before. Also, I mean, obviously she felt super unsafe. She only got 1 vote, but she felt super unsafe, so that already made sense. But if she's thinking about like guarantee myself to 5, then that's a good strategy.
Yeah, it's interesting because you don't really like hear people talk about like Survivor this way, so interesting to see how like her brain works.
Yeah, I do think it is a little bit risky thinking that way, because you really don't know how the challenges are gonna shake out. Like, for all she knows, she gets one like the round before where it's like a knockout challenge where you pick who goes and everyone is against her. It's like, and then she's maybe burned both her idols at this point potentially. It's like not a super solid strategy, but it is interesting.
Yeah,
you know,
it is. No, yeah, certainly some flaws in that mindset, especially when like, I mean, the merge in this game like is so few people that I think you can think like that, where is when there's like, I don't know, like 10 to 12 people, like that's just impossible. You're not gonna like win out or like play an idol every round.
I also think that people who have this strategy often by default neglect the social aspect of the game because they're like, my goal is win out, or like my primary focus is challenges, and I don't think that that's like, it's not a very it's not a fail safe way to get to the end, because you obviously can lose at any point, but also like I feel like even if you are thinking that way, you have to also be backing it up with like, where are my relationships, how do people feel about me? Like, getting by the skin of your teeth is not really like the best way to get to the end. Like,
and
winning,
I feel like you see this a lot with like people that go on that are like competitors, like people that are like, I played like football in college or whatever. They're like, I just want to play the challenges and win, but
it's like, I want to like be scrappy, and like people are gonna think I'm a threat because I'm so good at the challenges, but like they can't get me because I'll just keep winning. Like, that's like the vibe that you get with those people, which is not Olivia, but has similar flaws to it, the plan.
I mean, she was an athlete. Let's not discredit her.
No, of course. So I just don't think that she's not like, come at me.
Yes. Yeah. No, I get you. But yeah, congrats to her. She gets her boho chic necklace.
Her boho chic tie.
And the plans to get her out are foiled.
Totally foiled.
So
good for her.
We got to come up with something new here. And it seems like Gabby is the one spearheading the idea for Allie. Caroline is like kind of providing some supplementary points or support, but that's where I'm reading it.
I think CJ wanted Allie too, though, if I'm remembering right. But I think he was talking about it more before he like kind of landed on his like, let's go with Olivia no matter what kind of plan. But yeah, everyone's threatened by Allie's like, people think she's the manipulator. People think she's like the one to beat at the end. So they're like, maybe we just cut her now, even though we're not down to final 5. But yeah, I do think Gabby is the one who's like, she's got the how we get there portion of
even
this
if she didn't
plan,
come up
for
with
sure.
the like, even if she didn't come up with the name, I think she's the one who's kind of executing how to do it. And
Definitely.
I love how she like planned this out. She does the split plan, the 3-2-1, famously created by the Suri Fields, where 3 people vote for the person that goes home, and then you don't actually need the majority, you just need plurality. So leaving like Dylan on the outs of this was really smart, and I think
I also think it's really good thinking that she's thinking like, okay, Dylan's gonna tell Allie, leave him out. Olivia can't keep a secret, let's leave her out of this. Like, that's the way that you need to be thinking about these votes, especially with such small groups. It's like, one secret leak, you're done, because you don't have the numbers.
She's reading the room quite well. Which makes me sad because she says she will never play again because of the way that it made her feel, which I respect, but
it's tough, it's hard to be in that situation.
It's always I think back on moments like this and I'm
Yeah.
like, she's got something, that girl.
Yeah.
Got
Well,
the
we're
X
we
factor.
will be robbed of her future endeavors.
Yeah.
I do also think it's notable in this conversation how much CJ trusts Dylan, because Gabby's like, don't tell Dylan. And CJ's like, oh, you don't think we can tell Dylan? And like, which
yeah.
I honestly don't really think Dylan would have told Allie based on my read on the game at this point. If the
I
plan
think
was to
it's
get her out,
I
but
think it's possible.
I think it's possible, but there's like, I mean, and you know, it's just what's filmed. Like, they're
Yeah.
only having like one conversation, and like, but yeah, I don't know. It's very possible.
I
It's
mean,
better
Dylan
safe
and
than
Allie
sorry to
are
not
very
tell.
close. I
Yeah,
don't think like he would necessarily automatically be like against it, but I think there's a world in which he does
yeah,
tell. And it's like at that point, like you have this plan that will work. So like why risk bringing him into it and like maybe him
yeah.
telling her?
No, I agree. I think it was the
What are
right
the
decision.
downsides to this? If he's on the outs, like are there potential like is there backlash that might happen from leaving him out?
I think that with a generic player, in theory, like most people would be upset if,
Right.
like, say CJ, if Dylan is viewing CJ as like a very important ally to him and CJ leaves him out of this vote. I think that anyone would be reasonably upset about that. I don't think Dylan is upset about
Yeah.
that in any world, really. Especially because he's like so on the bottom. I think he's probably just happy to be there another day.
Mhm.
Because he's like at this point the obvious person to go. So I think it's like anyone but him, really. And like he'll figure it out later if
Yeah.
he's left on the outs of the vote. But
I think that's
I
very true, which is why like
yeah,
just leave him out.
I agree. But I do think it's interesting that CJ is like, no, we should tell him. Because I can tell that those two are, you know, working
Yeah,
closely together.
from like a place where we know their relationship, like it is like pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I'm sure in the moment I like if I were there, I would
Yeah.
have like clocked that.
I definitely wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fun pre tribal scramble that's happening. There's a lot of chaotic energy. Um, Allie asks CJ if his target is her, and CJ I don't think does a very good job at lying at all.
I don't remember this conversation. Wait,
Okay,
I
this is
don't.
right before tribal. Like, so CJ and Allie are talking, and
Mhm.
CJ's like, "Oh man, this vote, blah blah blah," blah. And then Allie's like, I'm being 100% honest with you. You are not my target." And CJ's like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah, yeah.
really?" Oh, phew. And it's like clearly like no, that I think is a real reaction. Like I think he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, good. Like I thought you were
Yeah,
targeting me," kind of thing.
right.
And then she goes, "Why are you targeting me?" And then he's like,
Mhm.
"Man, oh, bro, no." No, man, I'm so confused.
Bro, this game's crazy. This
This
game gets you
bro, I don't
crazy.
even know. And I was like, Allie, please. And he's like fully covering his face.
That's funny. That is funny.
Go back and look at it. It's funny.
Okay. I do also think I'm pretty sure in that conversation, that Allie is, like I mentioned before, maybe not having the best conversation with CJ because she keeps bringing up Gabby,
Mm,
which is like, maybe I don't know if that's like what is, I don't know if that's a factor for CJ at all, but like I think that she's gotten maybe too comfortable, like just putting all her cards on the table with CJ when like that seems to not be good for her. Like she's like, we've been looking at Gabby since day one. Like she's the one to beat. She probably has an idol, and like CJ's like, whoa, you think she has an idol? Like it's all just all this stuff about Gabby that CJ doesn't really seem to be on board with.
yeah. I
But
also
I
love that everyone like knows that Gabby has this idol just
I
because
know, and it's been like rounds
Olivia
and
like didn't tell
rounds.
anyone.
I think that they thought that she had it like round like
But like
two, like
why can't Caroline have it?
right. Like it's just like they had a vibe. I think the reason is when the Bad Bitches Only was formed, Olivia and Gabby were looking for idols together, which is when that like let's get the girls together thing happened. So I think they're basically like either Olivia or Gabby has it, and Olivia would have told us or like blown the secret or played it.
Yeah.
So I think that's their logic. But like it could have been found
But
at
they
a
had
different point
so much
also.
downtime that
I
whole it could
know.
be anyone in that tribe, honestly. And
Yeah,
it was Olivia.
and it was. Well, them counting out Olivia completely was like that's a total blind spot for them.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is like, again, we've talked about this. Like, I think it's fair that they would be like, she would have told us, but like they're looking at it as such a like, this has to be true kind of thing. Like, there's no point of doubt that like maybe Olivia has another idol.
I'm gonna draw a comparison here. And I'll actually ask you the question. What CBS version of Survivor player do you think Olivia is most like?
God, I have no idea. I don't even think I can answer. I have no idea.
You don't have one?
Do you? Because you have someone in mind.
Yeah.
There's like a million of them. So
I think Caroline from Survivor 45.
Yeah.
44.
44.
God, I hate the numbers. It's so
I
bad.
know.
I can't remember these numbers.
I know. I keep mixing them up.
44. Also, for anyone who's watching Australian Survivor this season, Kelly, it may be more so like Olivia. That I know you.
I see the Carolyn because they write her off as such like oh, she's so unserious.
I know that you don't watch Australian Survivor, but
yeah, no.
You have to look at some footage of Kelly. I think every time I watch her, I'm like, that's Olivia. And I mean that in all sincerity. And she is the darling of the season.
As was Carolyn. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. That's all you.
But yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah. So, but I say that because they were like, there may be like a little like, what's the word? I mean, Gabby used the word sporadic, but they're very like vocal about how they're feeling, like very expressive and like underestimated because, like they probably would just lay out all their cards and they can't keep a secret.
Yeah, but then the few secrets they do keep.
Carolyn, she's you know, she's just an open book, blah blah blah. But those are the ones that'll fool ya. So the sneaky things.
Totally.
Yeah. So tribal begins.
Yes.
And this is the moment where Olivia is talking about the boho chic necklace. We get a lot of non-answers again. Caroline.
Classic. I don't know that like
Caroline's
specifically
like,
this season.
I guess I'm not comfortable because I don't have the necklace.
Specifically this season, the non-answers are like bad. Like I think that like in Scan it gets a little better. No spoilers, but I think people are a little bit more direct with their question answering.
Well, it's funny because one of the non-answers does create a reaction, which I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Allie's like, yeah, like I'm pretty nervous tonight because, you know, things are just so all up in the air, which is her fully bullshitting.
Yeah.
Because she thinks it's very guaranteed. Clear cut. She's like, things are so up in the air right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then Olivia's like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean it's all up in the air? I thought we were fine.
Right. Which is also like not necessarily a good thing for Olivia to be saying. Because which is like this is like the second time that she has made like a broad sweeping assumption about like the alliance at large kind of thing. Where it's like because she just assumes everybody's like, oh, well, we know that this is the succulent five. So like, why are we even like pretending like it's not? And like, obviously she's on the outs of this boat and does not realize what's happening, which is like not a great look for her in front of the jury. You know, it looks like she doesn't have a clue what's going on, but like, it's also just like, I don't know, it lowers her threat level, perhaps.
Certainly.
To the other tribe members.
Yeah. And also like at this point with the Allie Olivia exchange, this is like the same thing that happened at that at the challenge with the popsicle sticks. So I'm like, oh, here we go again. Like Dylan's gonna go. It's gonna be so boring. Like and like but it's fair because those reactions were exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
CJ, Olivia, no, not CJ, Olivia. CJ, Gabby, and Caroline have pretty good poker faces in this that even I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
Dylan's gonna go. Well.
Right.
But then I go to read the votes. Like I'm looking in the little treasure chests, and and it comes in this order. It's like, I read it and it's like Dylan, Caroline, Allie. That's how I read it.
That's
And I was like,
crazy.
whoa, like even I was like,
Yeah. That's fun. That's exciting. I will also say I love Gabby's "It's time to play" when she votes.
oh, so
So
good.
good.
Oh,
So good.
I actually need her to play again.
Maybe in like 10
She
years.
won't.
I know.
And I respect it.
Mm.
Survivor Gabby is just it's another beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, a really fun 3-2-1 vote happened. Allie is shocked. The first like real blind side of the season, I think.
Definitely. Definitely. The other blind sides were just like could be anybody, but this was like a target. This was like a specific, like, we are keeping this information from you. We are planning behind your back. Like, this was like a strategic blindside.
Right. And we had like a shocking reveal. And not only from her, but like Olivia and Dylan, like are like, what?
Yeah. And the jury. I remember I was like, I was sure Dylan was going. Like,
yeah,
for sure.
This was a fun one.
It was good.
Yeah, and I just want to say back to the chair theory. Girly Pop breaks her chair and in their first tribal council, like at karma, clearly. And now she's gone in like a really epic fashion.
Bye.
Yeah. And you of course were sitting on the floor. Zach was sitting on the floor. So are you buying into the theory? Are you buying into it?
I can't say too much about the chair theory until we get to the end here.
Okay.
But
all right. Final episode will really like lay in.
Especially because no one is on the floor here.
Right.
We now have enough people that everyone has a chair. So
okay, all right. Well, that concludes the episode, but we still have a guest to come in. So Allie is going to come in momentarily, and we will discuss with her her downfall.
Her downfall.
Yeah, and that's going to be really fun. Stay tuned. Welcome, Allie. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be invited back to the pod.
Yeah, but this time not as exciting because you are now in the jury. You've been voted out. And probably the most exciting episode of the season, maybe battled with episode 4 with the double idol play. But
I would say that episode 4 takes the cake for me.
This is exciting.
I think the thing is like episode 4 has a great tribal, way better tribal, but episode 4's like lead up isn't all that.
Yeah, like, this is like there's like tension building and like a true blind side. Like this is what Survivor's all about.
Oh God.
Okay. let's calm down. But no, but like for real though, like this is what people like come here for. This little blindside moment. So how were you feeling in the moment?
Okay. I was thinking about this while we were rewatching the episode, and first of all, I did not think I was going home. I thought that I was
clearly
safe because I was like, who's gonna vote me out? I haven't like performed at all in this game. Like I don't see myself as a threat, and I really did not have an understanding of my placement in the alliance. Like I thought that I was like, I got CJ in the bag, I got Caroline in the bag, I got a little side thing going on with Dylan. The only person who I'm not solid with is Gabby. And that bit me.
Gabby had the power.
I was gonna say Gabby was spearheading.
Gabby was the mastermind of this episode. And I just remember, as you can see in the episode, I have every single person's name in my mouth and no clear strategy. I'm like, what if we get this person out? What if we actually get this person out?
Yeah, you
What if
gotta
we get this
stick to
person?
one.
Yeah, you were
I just
like,
was excited about the idea of getting anyone out and had
Mhm.
no strategy on how to do that and would like run my mouth to anybody who would listen. So in retrospect, it's clear why I was voted out. But
I'm
in the
surprised that
moment,
it didn't get back to you at all. That you
because
were talking
Gabby
about
kept,
everyone. You know,
Gabby
like
kept
no one was like, no one was like, oh, like, do you know that Allie like wants you out? Like,
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah.
very interesting because I
I
feel like I
do.
was too vocal about it.
Yeah, I also agree you were too vocal about it. That was something that I talked about. I was like, Allie is saying, like, she's saying Gabby with like a strong fist to CJ. And I think maybe that's not so good for her to be
And
doing.
also, I said earlier in the episode that I thought that Gabby and CJ were working together. Where was my head? Why would I?
Yeah.
You
And
were playing
also,
real fast and loose.
let's also,
Really?
Dylan gives you an amazing argument for Caroline.
Yeah. So
And you do nothing with it. Zero.
yeah. While
I go to
he's
CJ and I'm like, we should get Caroline out. And he's like, maybe.
yeah, I mean, you wouldn't
Anyways.
have had the power anyway, but I do. You
Yeah.
were talking about how it's interesting that you didn't end up voting for Caroline. What was going on
I
there?
think I just like felt like there wasn't enough consensus. Like, I don't know what I thought. I thought that like in order for an alliance to break, all of the other members of the alliance had to like be on board with it.
Right.
I don't know. Like I just wasn't thinking strategically or thinking like oh well if I get four people on board with this or like if I can do a vote by plurality, I can make this happen. I just wasn't in that mindset. I was like, well, if I can get all of my alliance members to vote off another alliance member, that means
Mhm.
that this can happen.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
to be fair, I think like the general like idea that people have when they go into this, like, I need a majority. You know,
Yeah.
that's it.
Mhm.
But like Gabby has such a math brain that she's like, no, I don't actually. Like, we only need
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
votes. We just need to like
Right.
split the others.
I
Right.
was like in awe of Gabby watching this episode. She
Yeah.
was
It's
so,
so
I mean,
good.
so good.
Yeah.
I saw her earlier today because we
Mm.
are friends outside of the game, as
What?
we all
Wait, what really?
know. Some of us are outside of the
Sorry,
game.
this didn't break your friendship forever?
Just for a couple of days. Just for a couple of days. But yeah, I was just telling her how good I thought she was at the game. I was like, you came through with that vote out.
Mhm.
It's like, God, I know. I was so mean.
Oh my god.
Listen, we're hoping we
Not
can
mean.
talk to her. We're hoping we can talk to her maybe next episode. But she's a busy gal, busy gal.
Busy.
But yeah, she just does some incredible things this episode, and we are eternally grateful for the content that she provided.
Yes.
But we're not talking about her right now. We're talking about you, okay?
So true. So
So-
true.
Yeah, let's bring it back to
To my flop era.
To your flop era.
Yeah.
So the votes are being read, right?
Mhm.
So we get 2 Dylan votes, a Caroline vote, and then the first Allie vote. What are your thoughts when the first one came up? If you can like put yourself back into that time.
When the first one came up, I was like, maybe like I was like, 'cause Caroline was announced before me, right?
I think so. Could be wrong about that, but
I think maybe it was my name first.
maybe.
My name first, I was like, oh, okay, I guess Dylan like was going behind my back and like was trying to get me out. But whatever, Dylan's gonna go home because of course
Mhm.
Lions wouldn't go against me.
Yeah, of course not. That would be against the rules.
Yeah, that would be against the rules of the alliance. Only I can do that. Very just egotistical way of thinking. So yeah, the first name read, I was like, oh man, that's crazy that I was the decoy. Didn't know that. Anyways, on to the rest of the votes.
On to the rest of the Dylan votes that are sure to come.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you don't seem surprised by that one, but then when the third one comes in, your jaw is on the floor.
Yeah. When the second one happened, I was like, oh, I'm going home.
Mhm.
And then the third one well, I think my brain was just kind of slow to process because I
Yeah.
just really did not think it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
But
you
yeah.
also had some comments on your exit interview, your your little confessional. Did you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I just like really thought that my like shit didn't stink while rewatching that. Like I was like, well, I guess everybody just saw that I was trying to make a big move and they decided that I would do the big move instead. Guess it
I
was
did
their
think
choice. Like what? I was so at one point Caroline, is like, master manipulator, gotta get her out.
I
To who?
love that.
Master
well, that's the
manipulator
thing. That's the thing. Caroline said the same shit about me. Who was
throwing stones in glass houses,
who's
Caroline.
being manipulated by me? No one, not a single person.
Not
we were
here,
not
but
manipulating.
a ma'am of the podcast, Frankie, famously, when she was watching this, said, "Why do people think that Allie is a master manipulator? She's agreeable."
Yeah.
Famously agreeable. This is when the agreeable allegations start.
Mhm.
I've literally every time somebody brings up a name to me, I'm like, that's
Sure.
a really good point.
Yeah.
So true. Wow.
So true.
And then, but instead of like being like, yeah, instead of being like, oh my God, such a good idea, and then like running and doing something with it, you're just like, great idea.
Like that would be great. And then I talk to the next person who gives me like another idea, and I'm like, wait, so true. That's such a good idea.
Okay, wait. I have a real question because I don't know if maybe I just think it's more obvious than it is, but when you go up to CJ and you like point blank ask him if he's targeting you, his reaction to me felt extremely over the top and horrible in the sense of like his poker face.
Yeah, in hindsight, it is so obvious that he's voting me out. In the moment, I think that he was either he just is a really bad liar and he's lying the entire time, or he's really good at having a bad poker face every time I talk to him. So like I can never tell when he's actually lying. But I think I was just so like comfortable in my position that I thought there was no way I was going home, which is why
it's not the first time that you have known that he has lied to you. When he told you about the idol that he didn't have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Maybe that was red flag number one.
Oh yeah, I have a question too. We were talking about why everyone feels like so certain that Gabby has the other idol. Do you remember?
I don't remember this, but I wanted to bring up the incredible editing moment from Kay of Olivia being like, Allie asked me about the other idol and I wasn't obligated to tell her, so I didn't. Why would I tell her that I have another idol? And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, if Olivia had an idol, she would tell us. Queen.
I just love that assumption that like she would 100%, which is like, it's fair. Like she was telling everybody everything,
which is why I think that's why I thought that, but also just I thought that I was everyone's number one ally. I was like, Olivia would tell me. Olivia would tell me.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot that you could have done differently holistically, but this episode specifically, do you think that you could have like tackled this differently to make sure that you stayed?
Yeah, I have a laundry list of things. One, have a sense that I was going home.
That would be good step one.
Okay, but like assuming you don't like know that even, like how could you be more like proactive?
Yeah, I think that the main thing was just be consistent with who my target is. That's like number one. Be careful about who I'm talking to about what. Because I'm sure that me talking to CJ about Gabby cemented in his head that I had to go home when maybe he wasn't totally positive about that.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm sure that he kind of would have gone with Gabby anyways.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to think. I'm sorry. I was just trying to think of like because he was so Olivia focused, and I didn't really get a good sense of like who he on his own thought would be good after that. But I guess it was probably you.
It seemed like once Gabby brought up my name is when he started thinking about me. I don't know that he was thinking about me before that. He might have been and just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the point in the game where all of us stopped filming consistently.
CJ does mention you
I think
in episode 6, I believe. Like he's like, I don't know about Allie. So like he's definitely having his own thoughts about like not taking you all the way. But I do think that Gabby is like the push that he needs.
Yeah.
Gabby's the push, and Gabby's also like the strategic mastermind behind it, manipulative mastermind. Master manipulator.
Master manipulator.
And yeah, it's really just Caroline and Gabby linking and creating on this that was powerful to see.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Just speaking of lack of filming, I really just am so curious what Caroline has said, because it's just has no footage of her filming.
Yeah.
It's all like group conversations.
I would love to know what her inner thoughts were in these moments.
Yeah.
I would love to see inside that brain. I think also I think in that moment, maybe trying to work with Olivia on a vote and like make sure that because she was so ostracized from the group, and it was very clear, maybe not to her, but she did kind of mention that in the tribal council. I think that working with Olivia and potentially Dylan, and then trying to bring in, depending on who my target ended up being, like either Gabby and CJ or like Caroline on that, I think that would have been a good call, because I think at the end of the day, one of those three people would have been who I would have wanted to go home. So yeah, really just consistency and knowing when to keep my mouth shut were
you definitely could have rallied Olivia and Dylan had you had the foresight to do so.
Yeah.
So outside of a strategic mind here, after playing Survivor Manhattan, what did you learn about yourself?
Oh wow, that's such a good question. I learned a lot of hard things about myself. One, and we talked about this last episode I was on, I am a sore winner for no reason, because often I'm not winning, but I'm still sore about it. That's number one. Two, and these allegations will continue until the day I die, I am a yes man. I am a bit agreeable, which is good in some ways in my day-to-day life, not as good in a strategic game. But I also it's a weird combination, because I am an asshole in some ways, and then like overly nice and appeasing. So it really just gives somebody whiplash. So those are the things that I have been working on in my personal life to make more somewhere meeting in the middle.
I do think the specific thing that we learned about your sore winnerness is that you like view yourself as the underdog, even if you're not in every situation. So like on the succulents, obviously you're not the underdog, but you're still thinking that you are. So you think that you're justified to like
a little peek
yell
behind,
at people.
A little peek behind the curtain here. The three of us did play Mario Party maybe 3 weeks ago. And Allie came in with an underdog mentality, and we were like, Bestie, it's Mario Party.
She was like, well, you guys have like played this game like a lot, and like I've only played like once or twice. And she was like, she was luck based.
Stuck on that.
She was like, yeah, well, it's like
second place, I think, and I was like, yeah, I really came back from that one. From what?
No,
I think
it
was
like
place
someone had
game.
to like take a star from you or something, and you
like,
why would you come from me? I'm the underdog.
Yeah,
and it was like,
and you were in second place.
I was an underdog up until that point, and then I got the second place.
You're the underdog of
Meanwhile,
your own story.
Everybody has like 3 stars. I have like 1 star and like $50 in my pocket. Like there's no, and I'm losing every single game. But yet I've played the game more, so you know I'm the one to beat.
You have experience.
Well, here's what my thought process was. It was that me and Jess were losing, so we had to align against Kay, who was winning.
Well, that's always
for the record. I did win,
but you did leave me. But then you left me in the dust.
Exactly.
But then you left me in the dust. It was me and Rosalina against the world. You know.
That's so true. That's so true. It was you and Rosalina against the world.
Yeah. So, taking Survivor Manhattan and also Mario Party into account here, if you were to return, You do return, but
I do return.
looking at just this and also Mario Party,
Also Mario
and
Party.
also Mario Party, since we have
Kay
discussed it.
wants to make it clear to the viewers that I haven't reformed that much over the past 2 years. She said, "Let's take Mario Party into
No,
account."
let's take it into consideration.
I want to give you credit because you've grown.
Thank
Okay,
you.
since this moment you've grown.
No, you certainly
And
have.
I just want to.
I think that brought some bad habits out.
Yeah.
Some old.
Oh,
yeah,
also
old
the other
wounds.
bad habit, which I've been doing this whole podcast as well, talking over everybody and everyone, like anybody I can talk over, but it's in an encouraging way, so it seems like it's not that bad until you have to edit me talking, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can see that at the end of every person.
If there's one thing you are, it's an active listener.
And look who's a social worker. Makes sense.
It's a good quality it's a good quality and friendly conversation. Yeah. No, I'm worse because I just cut people off with my own thought. So
yeah. Anyway,
thank you,
back
you
to
for
the
the
question. You did cut me off while I was asking the question, but
yeah.
So taking those two things into account, if you were to return once more, or maybe even more, what will you apply from what you've learned to future seasons?
Yeah, obviously there were changes made to my game in Survivor Skinny Atlas, which we can talk about another time. And I do think that I would continue with the evolutions that occurred during that season. I think that I have very much gotten better with the sore winner of it all. I think that that is something that I don't really have to work on anymore. But the underdog complex, I think, first of all, I just need to let it work to my advantage. If I am not doing well in challenges, that's okay. Let that just ride under the radar. That's all right. People don't need to know my thoughts about that.
Yeah, you do like to call it out.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You call it out so someone else can't.
Yeah.
So you're like,
yeah.
You're like, yeah, no, I was bad at that one.
Yeah, no, I really didn't do well at that one, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't need to point that out. I don't need to point that out. And I can just let people make their own thoughts about me. None of my business. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and I can use my strengths and my weaknesses to my advantage in future gaming.
I love it.
I have a similar problem as you, Allie. Like naming the thing that you think everyone is on the same page about, and then like giving them like the idea and the ammunition against you.
Yeah, I do think that that's the other big thing for me. Just learning how to just listen without talking, take in information without giving information. I think that's a big thing for me because I think that has bitten me in the butt before.
Yeah, so we'll see if you ever come back, if you listen to yourself here. So we're not done quite yet. We do still have an episode MVP to crown. I think I want to start with our guest here today. Allie, did you have an episode MVP, and why?
Well, I think based on our conversation, it's clear that maybe we're even on the same page, but I think Miss Gabrielle is the episode MVP for me because she mentions my name before the immunity challenge even happens. She puts it in CJ's head. She comes up with a plan. She knows who to include in it. She knows who to not include in it, specifically Dylan, because she knew that Dylan would say something to me. She knows not to include Olivia. She knows about the plurality. She's very strategic. And she makes the moves happen. And she's very she's not forceful about it. She's really good at just saying what her thoughts are and then letting other people fill in the blanks and making it happen. So she is the clear episode MVP for me.
I will go next. I do agree. For me, it couldn't be anyone else besides Gabby.
I do think we have to take into account CJ for his wonderful acting of no, what?
Like it's crazy.
That's crazy.
This game is just so crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's not voting for me. Yeah, that's probably true.
He did a bang up job convincing
Bang
you.
up job that he did.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
not. Yeah, I think it's Gabby. I don't really think there's anybody else to take the crown here.
Yeah.
She's has the upper hand in every situation. She's never in. She's brought up, but not any more than she has been in the past. It's mostly just like, well, we've been talking about Gabby for a while, so I guess like maybe her. It's not like for a real like reason. But yeah, I that's all I'll say. I think it's Gabby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be Gabby. So with a unanimous vote here, and if I'm not mistaken, this is her second title
I
win.
think so.
Really
think so.
exciting. Really exciting day for
Huge.
Gabby.
Yeah.
So Ella and Gabby are two-time episode MVP winners.
Wow. There we go.
Great. Congratulations to them. Okay, yeah, I had a really good time talking about this. This was always a pleasure to have Allie on the podcast. I hope that you have this much fun as we do here.
Of course I do, always. With the
Always.
man.
Yeah, so we have been doing the deep dives. We will continue to do them. We also we took a little dip into the CBS Survivor pool for the first time. Really exciting stuff. We did a draft
I
of
saw that it came
Survivor
out.
46 with
Mhm.
our dear mans Frankie and Zach.
Yes.
We had a lot of fun.
Mhm.
If you're watching that season, go check that out. It's a good stuff. Yeah, so with that, I think we're gonna wrap it up, and ma'ams are going to sign off.